Hello everyone and welcome to Anubis Land. So, you see these two laptops. One of them is at 200 US dollars and the other one is 600 US dollars. Both of them are i7 and most of the other specs are nearly the same, but still why they are priced this different. In this video, we will show you why, but after you see this. Please take a look at our merchandise at anubisland.com and drop some donations if you would like. Don't forget to subscribe, enable your notifications so that you can know whenever we upload a video. Getting back to our i7 lab, every time you compare a desktop, a laptop, or even mini PC processor, you will see the name of the processor in Intel processors. You will see the name of the processor, the generation number, and then some letters. Okay, so what this letter represent and how can we choose between them? We will see this now. So let's start with our first letter G. If it's followed by numbers from 1 till 7, this means that this processor has an integrated graphics technology, and the numbers from 1 till 7 is just a level of this technology. Still, this is an integrated graphics, which means it uses the CPU itself and it uses system RAM to drive the video RAM. For some point, it will be a low performance on the CPU, and it's not recommended for games or video editing, as well as it cannot load even some of the low graphics. But it's good for workstations whenever you build a workstation that you know that you only will open a terminal or some non-graphic work. So at this point, you just need something to drive a monitor at some point. Or even if you need to access this workstation from an SSH client or something like that, then you don't need a lot of graphics. At this point, this integrated graphics is a really good use at this point. Let's go for the second letter, which is F. F means that the CPU needs a graphics card to drive a monitor, so it cannot work on its own using the motherboard output to a monitor. So you need to plug in some graphics card into the PCIe bus that you can find in the motherboard, and then you can drive a monitor. At this point, the CPU is not performing any kind of graphics processing. After F, let's go to letter G again, but this time no numbers following this letter G. So what does it mean? It means that this CPU has a discrete graphics on this CPU package, which means it has its own processing unit. So it doesn't use the CPU processing unit as we said before in G1 till G7, but it has its own processing unit and its own video RAM. It can drive low graphics games, and still it's a better option for some workstations that can be that is used only for applications like terminal or a lot of other applications that doesn't need graphics, but it's not recommended for games and video editing in general. Going forward to the letter H. You will love this letter during our trip, because when you hear the letter H, you know that there's high performance coming out your way. And that's what letter H means. High performance for mobile devices. So the mobile devices here means laptops. So this is a high performance computing process unit for laptops only, or even any mobile device. This can be the best performance that you can get for a mobile device. Still, we have some sort of modification to make it better. Mentioned at the end of the video. Going forward to the letter K. Letter K means unlocked, and this letter is very important in the gaming and video editing machines. Why unlocked? And what does it mean? So that when we say that the CPU is unlocked, then we can edit its parameters. How it's driving power, how it's taking its volt, its current, and even the frequency that we can increase for this CPU. If we play around with these parameters, we can get the highest performance ever. With the proper power supply and proper motherboard, we can edit this CPU and get the highest performance ever. The very, very, very good example of the K processors is the i9-9900KS. And I will leave you with this after the end of the video, and I will say why did we say KS. Let's move to the next letter, S. S means a special edition. So that means that Intel just got this for a special occasion or a special computer or something like this. And it's known also in the i9-9900KS as well. And I will mention later why there's K and S on this. You can go for the T letter. And at this point, the T letter, we started to lower our power, because T letter means that it is power efficient processor. when you hear power efficient, that means that someone is trying to lower the power here. For thermal and for power efficiency, because you don't need a high electricity bill at the end of every month. But still, when you lose power, you lose performance. Still, it's good because you still don't have to heat all the room, and you don't have to get like 12 fans, and you don't have to get like a very huge cooling system to drive this computer to its craziness. No, it's a low power and efficient, so it should be the balance between performance and power efficiency at the T processor. After that, you will see U. That's when I usually run away, because U means a mobile low power CPU. So when we say low power or power efficient or this kind of things, we mean that we are consuming less power. And whenever we say consuming less power, this means for sure lower performance, because lower power is lower heating and lower thermal and still lower performance. At some point, you can just try to undervolt and make the thermals good and still get the performance that you need. But still, you will lose some performance in this part. So the U processors usually being in the laptops that you usually see on market. Usually people go for something that they can use for Microsoft Office, Excel, surfing the web, something like this. This can be handled using a U processor. You don't need an H processor for this kind of jobs, but still, U is not recommended for some of the games, and this for sure not recommended for video editing on something like Premiere Pro. Moving forward to the two letters that I rarely hear in the Intel CPUs, starting with the E processors. E processors usually are for embedded systems. That's why most of the users cannot get their hands on this, because most of the users are not an embedded system users. So we will just move on and ignore talking about. Going forward to Y processors. Y processors are lower in power consumption than the U processors. So they are very, very low power mobile processors. They can be found in rare notebooks. Still, this is worse than U in performance. So this even can make some problems while you are using some of the Microsoft Office things, or maybe in some very heavy loaded websites and surfing the web. So it's actually, I don't think it's recommended for most of the users, but it can be a very good solution for someone who needs something very cheap and just go for online searching some internet and something like this. And that's why you cannot see it a lot. Okay, you are confused enough? Still, let me make you confused more. What if we have something like the i9-9900KS that we mentioned? It has K and still it has S. This means that it has the features of the letter K and the features of the letter S. At this particular processor, it has the unlocked power as well as it is a special edition version. You can find something like HQ, HK, and actually my very high performance laptop is HK processor. It's an i7 8th generation HK, which is really very, very good in terms of performance, as you can still use the unlock power to get the highest performance, and it's already out of the box, it's high performance because of the letter H. So when to stop the confusion? What should I buy? Also, I cannot just tell you, just go and buy the HK1. You will get everything at the best performance. No, there is the price there, the price tag. So the price tag on something like HK can go up to 5x the price tag on something like Q processor. So what should I do? This depends on your work. So if you are going for a high performance gaming or a very high 4K video editing, then for sure HQ and HK are good for you. HK will be good if you have some time to spend on overclocking or undervolting more power. But HQ is good for you if you just need to get this processor out of the box and use it as it is. These two processors are very good for that use. Still, you can find something else. Going a little bit for a very medium range performance gaming, you can go for sure the H processors or the K processors or even the HK together, or you can go for HT or even the T processors as themselves. Because at this point in the medium performance games, you can just still save some power, because the T processors are very efficient in power and they still get you to the performance that is needed for such games. So what if you need just to serve the web, to go for Microsoft Excel? You can go from up as the T processors or low as the U processors, and then anything in the middle can go. But other than this, it will be an overkill for your system to just use it for Microsoft Office or surfing the web. This is not something that I can say that you should do this. It's only a recommendation. You still have to buy. But for sure, like I said before, surfing the web and watching a Nubisland channel doesn't need more than U processor. So we are waiting for you in the other videos. But wait, don't go and buy, because we still have another video on AMD processors, and we may have something that is higher performance and lower in price there. So wait for it. See you later.